Hello, welcome to Snails and Fairy Dust. Today I have a little bit of a different project for you. I have these beach stones that I found on the beach in Brighton. I'm constantly collecting stones that look like beads, and I'm sure if you're into beads, you probably do too. We're going to use a stitch called square stitch, which I have another video on this stitch, which is a bit more of a beginner's tutorial. This one's going to be a bit of an intermediate tutorial, I would say. And that is because we're using a really small bead. So this is a size 15 seed bead. Normally we use size 11 delicas. So this is a much smaller bead. And so you want to have a bit of experience beading before you venture to try this bead. These are the rocks I have. I have a size 12 beading needle, and I'm still using my 6-pound fire line. It's just a much smaller bead that we're working with today, and that's so it can fit through the holes of the stone. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to take a look at both of these stones and decide which one I want to use. I'm going to go with this bigger one, so I have a bigger width I could show you of the beading. And then I'm going to pick up a bead to use as my stopper bead. And I have about 4 feet of beading thread here, the fire line. So I'm going to take my bead, slide it to the end, wrap my needle around and come back through it like that. And that is going to just secure that bead to keep the rest of my beads from falling off while I get started with this stitch. So that will be pulled off later. For now, it just sits right there. Next, I'm going to pick up beads, and I want to sort of measure how wide I want my square stitch to be going through this hole. So this is where it's tricky because a lot of it is just sort of feeling it. It's a bit intuitive because, rocks are rocks. They're going to do what they want to do. And this looks to me like 4 beads wide is going to be the right size. So I take my 4 beads, I slide them down to the end, and we're going to get started with square stitch now. So I pick up 1 bead and I bring that bead through the bead furthest away from me. And I'm bringing the needle towards me. Sorry, it's the bead closest to me. I'm bringing the needle towards me and creating that little loop. And now I'm going to put the needle through the new bead, and that is facing away from me. I will get this, I swear. Okay, so now we are going to do it with the next bead. So I pick up 1 more bead, take the next bead in the row, bring the needle towards me, and then I'm going to go in the opposite direction through that newest bead. Like that. We're going to do this one more time. Pick up the next bead and go through the next bead in the row. Bring the needle towards myself. And then I'm going to bring the needle through the new bead away from me. And we have 1 more bead in this row. So we're going to do that again. Pick up another bead. Bring the needle through the next bead towards myself. And then bring my needle through the new bead away from myself. And there we have it. That's the basics of square stitch. That first little bead isn't sitting quite right. I just have to flip it over. And that's how they should look. They sort of line up. They remind me of like the kernels on an ear of corn when they're all lined up properly. So pick up your next bead. We're going to work on the next row now. Pick up 1 more bead. And this time we're going to put the needle into the bead away from us. So going through the last bead that our string is coming out of, we're going away from us. There we go. And then through the new bead, we are coming towards us. Like that. And then we pick up the next one and we keep working down the row in this manner. Now, you are going to keep working this row until it's long enough to create the loop for your rock. I don't know what size your rock is, so you're going to have to keep measuring it. Keep making it long. You want to have enough of a loop so you'll be able to get the necklace part of the necklace through there too. So leave some space. Keep working. Meet me back here when you think yours is just about long enough, and we'll take a look at how to close that up. If you are new to bricks or to square stitch, there is another tutorial video that might be a bit easier for you to start with, like I said before, but it's not the most difficult stitch, and I think you could do this. Okay, so you keep working, and I will see you back here in a second. Okay, so here we are. I'm just going to take a look and see if this is the right size. No, it is not. So I'm going to keep working. But I just want to show you that's what you're going to need to keep doing, like keep measuring it. Um, Also, make sure that whatever size, whatever width you've made for your little strip is actually going to fit through the hole on your rock. Sometimes I've done it where it's like just 2 beads wide or 3 beads wide, depending on the size of the hole that I have found on the beach. And also, if you have like a really, really big holed rock, then you totally could do it with a size 11 seed bead just as easily. So you keep doing this until you get to the next part, which is here. Look, now we have a piece long enough to set our rock. So I string that through the hole. I'm going to hold these two ends together like this, and we're going to weave back and forth across to close this up. So I am going through the bead directly across from the bead my string is coming out of, and then I'm going back through the original one. Next, I go through 2 beads, and then I go across, come through one, close that loop, and then next I'm going to go back through 2 beads, working one more over, come across to the one directly across from that bead, like so, and then back across the row and through 2 beads again, and then back through the original row. And from here, I'm just going to put my needle straight through all of those beads and weave my thread back into this work in order to secure the end of the thread, but also just to make the whole work stronger. Because you are going to get a lot of wear and tear. This is the part of your necklace that is going to be hanging and holding, supporting the weight of that rock. So I like to go back and forth through here several times. So I go through one side and then I go through the other and take it down pretty far, and you are securing and making tension with your thread the more you do this. And what I do is I go back and forth, and then eventually I will end my thread sort of in the center of the work by wrapping around 2 beads that are next to each other and creating some tension. And when I'm done with that, then I will thread my original tail, and I will weave that into the work as well. So between those 2 bits of thread, you really should be able to go back through all of this piece at least one more time so it's extra secure. Everything's doubled up. So here I am. Now I'm going to end the thread in the center here. So I have 2 beads in the center where I am just going around them 2 or 3 times to just create a lot of tension, and then I feel safe to get rid of that thread. There we go. Okay, so I lied. I guess I'm going to go through one more time. Sometimes it just doesn't hurt to be more secure than you think you need to be. I mean, it's better to err on the side of safety, right? So I'm going to clip that and then thread that other side and do the same thing. So see you back when you are finished with that, and then we'll start on the necklace part. Okay, so here we are with our finished set rock. You could put it on a chain, a rope at this point. You could do whatever you want. But I'm going to show you this technique that I use to make a chain to go with it. I don't know what it's called because I've kind of made it up. We're going to start with 6 beads, slide them down towards the end of your thread. And then we're going to it's kind of like a ladder stitch in the beginning here. So bring your needle around and come back up through the first 3 beads. Like that. And then you're going to bring your needle through the second 3 beads, creating a loop. And then just to make this loop extra strong, we're going to do that again. So come back up through the first 3 beads. Yes. And now we are ready to begin building our necklace. So the way I do this is we're going to pick it up in groups of 6. So I have another 6 beads. And then now I'm going to come down through the 2 beads on the outside edge there, the first 2 beads. And then I'm going to cross over the ladder and come up through the same 2 beads on the opposite side. And then also through the 3 beads in the new loop we've just added. So first I come up through those 2 beads in the original loop, and then I'm going to come up through the 3 beads in the new loop we've just added, the first 3 beads. And I pull that through, and there you have it. Okay, and we're going to do that again. Pick up another 6 beads. And then we're going to come down through the outside 2 beads. Bring that through. Cross your thread across and come up through the 2 beads on the other side. I sort of messed that up. With these tiny beads, it's hard for me to see the camera angle, to look at the camera and see the tiny beads. So I think I messed that one up, but it's fine, as you'll see in a second. And now I'm coming up through the 3 beads of that new loop. And when you pull it tight, you have that. And I'm just going to keep building this chain in this way. And to start with, I'm going to just get about 4 inches done. And then when you come back here, we are going to switch to using more beads at a time just so we could build this chain faster. So you get used to that. And once you have about 4 inches done, meet me back here and we will build it a bit faster and look at some designs we can make and things like that. Okay, so see you in a second. Okay, so here we are. I have a little section of my chain, and I just wanted to show you that in reality, I was building this 12 beads at a time, but just to get you started, I wanted to start you with the 6 because it's a little less tricky. So 12 beads at a time, I'm coming down 3 beads in the previous row, and then I bring my thread across and then up through the 3 beads on the opposite side. And then because we have 12 beads, I'm going to come up through 6 beads. So you could use any number of beads you want here, actually, but they just have to be even. So you could have an even 2 sections on each side. So let's just take a look at that one more time. Picking up 12 beads. This time I'm coming down 3 beads, cross the aisle, and come up the 3 beads on the other side, and then come up through 6 beads on this new loop you've just added. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. There you go. So you're going to continue building this way until you get to the length you want. Now here I am at the length I want. This is about 28 inches long. I wanted a necklace that I could just put over my head and not have to worry about adding a clasp or anything. And so I'm going to lay this out so that I can attach it. You want to make sure that you're not, there are no loops and the necklace is going the direction you want it to, so that you don't have a constant sort of turn in it. So I'm going to put my rock on here now, because once we weave this together, it's there forever. So that's on there. And then I'm going to take my needle where I finished beading, and I'm going to align it up with the beadwork on the opposite side and the bead on the opposite side. And I'm going to come right through the beads on that side. And when I pull it, they line up like this. And I'm just going to keep weaving down into this beadwork and creating tension by sort of wrapping around. So first, I'm going to go down a few rows, and now I'm coming back in the opposite direction. And then I'm going to go away from me again, and then towards me again. And then that's creating tension with the thread sort of wrapping around so that it won't come undone. And now I'm going back in the opposite direction, which, by the way, if you needed to change your thread in the middle of making your chain, you would use the same technique. So find 2 sections of beads across the rows from each other, and you wrap around them, making this tension. And you really just want to keep doing this over and over again, so you know that your necklace is super secure. And now I'm coming through the other side and attaching that other point where we want the necklace to match up on either side. So from the turquoise over to the white side, now the necklace is fully connected, and it's just about making it strong now. So I'm going to weave down this white section and really secure that. And if you take a look right before this, at the beginning of this section that is filming now, I really gave you a close-up of the chain, so you could just sort of look at all the different patterns I've added in there. I really just had fun with this and, experimented. And I think that's what's fun about this project, just experiment on the way to create different patterns and designs in your necklace, and see what you can come up with. But if you want to pause the beginning of that section, you could really see some of the things that I tried a bit more closely. But for the most part, it was all just a big experiment. But I love this sort of project. I think it's a great way to get your creative juices flowing. And it's a way to be sort of much more meditative, because you're not worried about messing something up. You're just creating something that feels sort of special. Especially if you've collected the rock yourself from a special place and it's a memory you want to keep, or it's a nice project to share with someone who maybe was at the beach with you. Or you could also do this with shells. You could create the same sort of setting for a shell necklace, which would be really cute. Here we are with our finished piece. I'm really happy with it. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope it's not too silly for you. I think it's a fun thing to do. I've done this several times myself. Here's another one I've made with this yellow and blue. My daughter has already claimed this one. And in this one, I've sort of, I've added these glass beads, like fake pearl beads, to the center sections. Again, just experimenting, just having fun. Sometimes this sort of project is great just to get your creative juices flowing again. So I hope you try this project, and I hope you have fun doing it. Thanks for sticking around. See you soon.